This step involves you becoming more involved with your society, in service to humanity, in beneficial ways. No download is required for this step. It is all about you taking the step, initiating the step of volunteering in certain ways on your planet and doing the things that are representative of service, of help, of bringing about a more positive world, of doing the things physically, acting on the things that connect you to others in ways that can be of assistance, that can be of help, that can be representative of the positive actions you can take, that would be more representative of the actions you would take in the kind of world that you say you prefer to live in. But there are many reasons for taking these actions, not only to be of service to others, but also to allow you to change your own states of being, should you be experiencing states of being that you don't prefer. For example, if you are experiencing the idea where you don't really understand what your passion may be, even though we have explained that you can start simply with everyday things, just acting on the things that have even just a little bit more excitement than anything else, and doing those things first, and letting it build up and snowball into bigger and bigger opportunities, we are still talking about the idea that some of you may not necessarily know how to get yourself out of a state of boredom, a state of sameness, a state of depression, a state of not allowing yourself to exercise your creative imaginations to move you forward. So one of the best ways that you can allow yourself to change that state is to volunteer, to be of assistance and to be of help to other people in various situations, to get out of yourself, so to speak, to change your environment, to change your actions, to do something different, to think, as you say, outside your box, to do something you are not familiar with, and to see if you can actually find passion in those things that you are now exploring in your service to humanity. There are many things that you can volunteer to do. And when we say volunteer, it doesn't necessarily mean that you cannot be paid to do them, for there are many things you could volunteer for that will actually pay you, at least to some degree, will support you in your willingness to participate in those things. Some of them you will do for free, but even then you will get a lot out of it if you are willing to break through your usual assumptions, your usual state of being, and just choose something that you may start out being mildly curious about, or may have at some point thought of what other people feel about doing those things and said, I wonder what it's like to do that. Give yourself a chance to take the action, to take the step, to move forward and go ahead and volunteer to be of service in that way. If you have ever considered what it might be like to be of assistance in a variety of ways on your planet, such as going to the people that plant new trees and helping them do so, going to the people that feed the homeless in homeless shelters and volunteering to help there, going to read stories to people who are bedridden in hospice situations, going to animal rescue services and participating there to help the idea of the animals on your planet. There are many things you can volunteer for that will get you out of your present situation and open you up to what is possible in your service to humanity and allow you to potentially find new things you may actually discover that you can be passionate about. Getting out of your habits, getting out of your usual situation, opening your world up, making connections you otherwise wouldn't have made. This is very important, for the idea of open contact is to allow yourselves to start making contact with different realities that can be of service to humanity, opening your world up so that you can open up to other worlds as well, being more flexible in your ability to participate and interact with other people socially on your planet. After all, this is an interstellar alliance social experiment. And this is one of the social aspects of it, is to engage more fully with the positive aspects of your society that are already doing things that would be more representative of the kind of things you would do on the kind of earth you say you would prefer to live on. So help out, be of service, volunteer, find something that you are at least curious about and wonder what it would be like to do that. Do it at least once. You can do it at least once. Or you can decide to do it every day. You can decide to do it once a week, once a month, once a year, or more than that, or every other day, or every other week, or every other month, or every other year. The timing is up to you. What's most important is that you choose to participate, that you choose to help out, that you choose to magnify and amplify the positive work that others may be doing and add your energy to it, not only to help in your service to humanity, but also to pull you out of your regular routines, to open up the world to you in a variety of ways that may allow you to discover new passions that you didn't know you could have. So this is part and parcel of the Interstellar Alliance Social Experiment Volunteer Corps. Get out in the world, take the actions necessary to change your situation, to open up your reality, and to participate, interact, and interconnect with others, doing positive works on your planet in help to others. We thank you for allowing us to share this idea, this step with you this day of your time. And we ask now, in return, how may we be of service to you? Please begin with your dialogues and your questions if you wish.
Hi, Bashar. My name is Jennifer, and I wanted to ask you a question regarding negative entities in the world. First of all, do they exist? What are they here for? What is their purpose? And is there such a thing as negative entities being attached to our energy fields? Essentially, I used to live in a home where the previous owner played the Ouija board, would lead seances, essentially dabbled into black magic, as I was told. All throughout the years that we lived there growing up, every night at around 6 p.m. we'd be down in the living room, and the upstairs bedroom would begin to make very loud sounds as though the beds were being pushed around throughout the room. So I just wanted to understand a little bit more about what was going on there. As far as we know, we allocated it to negative energies being there because of the previous owner's activities, but it's just been a puzzle all these years. So I wanted to get your perspective. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
There is no such thing as negative entities attaching themselves to you. Yes, of course, negative entities exist. You have many of them on your own planet, physically. But the idea is that this usually comes from fear, from negative belief systems. The negative vibrations are simply that which doesn't allow themselves to receive the love that they are made of, doesn't allow themselves to know they are made from that unconditional love. And so they may act out to some degree. But unless you match that frequency because of your own fear-based beliefs, your own negative beliefs, you usually cannot be feeling any effects from them whatsoever because your vibration is too different for them to be able to, in a sense, find you. Now, as far as negative entities in the universe and the cosmos go, there are what might be generally referred to as prankster spirits that might be able to give you a lesson, that might do things that are unexpected, that put you in a different state of mind, to get you to explore things from a different point of view, and can be experienced in kind of a pranking way. But they're not malicious. They're not negative entities in that sense, in the classical sense that you mean it. So the idea is those that function negatively in your society or elsewhere are simply those that have not been given the opportunity to understand that they create their reality, who feel a lack of self-empowerment, and who may lash out against others who they resent for demonstrating to them the self-empowerment that they believe or fear that they lack themselves. So there's resentment in that. But you cannot experience these things if you're not matching that frequency. And sometimes those beings may come into your sphere of influence because they may sense on a deeper level that you actually have the ability to help them get over that, to help them move on. Not that you have to match that frequency and be afraid of them, but that you have to recognize that on some level they are coming to you because you are a compassionate being and a being that can help them let go of those things and move into more of their own light.
Hi, Bashar.
Good day, good day.
Thank you so much for this opportunity to have this talk with each other.
It is our passion and our pleasure. What would you like to discuss?
I would like to ask you something about integration of the past, quote unquote. I'm still puzzled about how to perceive the reality I have created here on Earth. You've explained many times that there's no past and no future, only the moment of now. And the shifting of our perspective on this now moment is experienced by us as a past because of the linear nature of our focus here on Earth.
Yes.
And therefore, we create our experience of the past from the present.
Yes.
So my 8-year-old self is a completely different person with her own unique perspective and experience than, let's say, my 47-year-old self.
Yes.
And if this can be looked upon as parallel lives happening simultaneously, but with unique personalities, how can I integrate these parallel past lives as being part of my experience in the present now moment?
By simply understanding whatever it is that is relevant in those parallel experiences and what is not relevant for who you are now in those parallel experiences. Pulling forward and creating in the now whatever you call as memories that are still simply what you're creating in the present that you believe is relevant for your soul's continuing journey, for your idea of who you are and what it is you are pulling from, what it is you are basing yourself on now. So you're creating the elements of your so-called past based on what you believe is relevant for you to continue to be who you prefer to be in the present. Does that make sense? Do you understand this concept?
I understand what you're saying, but who is deciding that? Is that my higher self?
You are deciding that along with your higher self because you're following a path that your soul chose to experience for its own growth. So this is why, again, it doesn't have to be very complicated and you don't have to overthink it. When you simply follow the formula that we have shared with all of you, this becomes an automatic function. You will raise your vibration and you will be able to tell what is relevant for you and what is not more easily. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. But I'm still a bit puzzled about the fact that well, obviously we also remember some bad things happening to us. Is that also always relevant, or is that sometimes the negative belief systems?
It can be either, and you have to have the discernment to tell the difference. But it's similar to the idea of the fourth step in the formula, whereas if something manifests that you objectively don't prefer, you still stay in a positive state so you can learn a lesson from why it's there. So you can do the same thing in a so-called past direction as well by saying, I remember negative events. Stay in a positive state so you can learn the lessons that are relevant for your soul's growth now in the present. Use it in the way you need to move forward. And again, by raising your vibration, you'll be able to tell whether this is something that is simply a repeating of a negative energy that you're holding on to, or whether it's simply something you can learn a lesson from and then let go of.
Yes, I understand.
Does that help you?
Yeah, that does help me. Thank you so much for this answer.
You are so welcome. Anything else?
Yes, I would like to talk to you about the transformational process from third to fourth density.
Yes.
In the transmission called Soul Cycle, you've explained the transformational process from third to fourth density on a soul level.
Yes.
And I was wondering if you could expand on the effects of this transformation on a more practical level here on Earth. What changes can we observe or see happening on the Earth during this transformational process?
Well, first of all, again, remember, you never change the planet that you're on, right?
I understand.
Understand, you're shifting to a different version of Earth. So what it will appear is as if the planet you're on is changing, but you will have shifted to a different reality that's already more representative of the change in the vibration within you. So what will be experienced in that way? You will experience the things that are relevant for an expanded consciousness, for an expanded awareness, which means your physical senses will stretch to be able to see things that were heretofore invisible. You will find yourself experiencing more synchronicity, knowing that everything is connected, everything is an orchestration, and that there are no accidents, that you are where you need to be in perfect timing all the time. You will then respond to things in a more positive way and get more positive feedback and more acceleration in your life. You will attract more individuals, more circumstances and situations that provide more opportunities for you to act on your passion. You will experience more telepathic communication with individuals, just knowing what they're going to say before they say it, knowing when they're going to connect to you before they connect. So you're expanding your senses to be able to function on a higher level toward the idea of functioning more like you function in the spirit plane. And you will be able to communicate eventually with spirits in the spirit plane more clearly. You will understand that synchronicity is more clearly messages from them sometimes. All these things can occur and more when you expand your consciousness in the ascension process you're going through from third to fourth density.
I understand. Thank you. And could you also provide us with some guidance or how to positively integrate what we are seeing? For instance, the rapid changes in the climatic circumstances. What are we showing ourselves?
You are showing yourselves when you're out of balance, to give you the opportunity to bring yourselves back into balance. You will always have a feedback system in physical reality, either through the idea of your climate, your physical environment, even the idea of disease pathogens are reflections of when you're out of balance. So you can use them as guide rails to bring yourself back into balance by understanding in what way you may be holding on to fear-based beliefs that are causing the imbalance within your energy.
Okay, but the increase of the frequency here on Earth, is that also part of seeing the imbalance more profoundly?
Yes. Again, your senses become sharper. Your awareness of what's going on becomes clearer. You see things differently for what they are. You can start to understand the underlying causal mechanisms energetically, psychologically, spiritually within you more easily. You become more transparent to yourself, and your motivations become more transparent to you as well. And the connection between your actions and the effects on your planet also become more transparent to you. You don't see yourself as disconnected from nature. You see yourself as an extension of nature. And you see nature as a feedback system based on your emotional states, your physical states, your mental states, your spiritual states. And you don't have that separation as much anymore between you and the concept of nature itself.
And we're now shifting from third to fourth density.
Yes.
Is it going to take us a while to maintain a form of when we are able to maintain a form of stability in the fourth density?
Yes, you are going through a 3-decade reset that will usually start smoothing itself out somewhere beyond the year of 2050.
Uh-huh. Okay. And will we be able to shift back into third density if we wish to, or are we leaving this density, quote unquote, behind us eventually?
Most of you will leave it permanently. It's not impossible to shift back, but it will probably seem like there's not really any particular reason to do so unless you decide to do that to be of assistance to someone else to help them up the ladder.
I understand. Yes, I understand.
Because when you start moving in a certain direction, you create a certain momentum, a certain inertia. For example, in our society, there is so much inertia, so much momentum, and so much energy for so long behind the idea of experiencing positive choices that it's very, very challenging for us to go and experience negative choices. We understand we always have the choice. We understand the option is always there. But there's so much momentum, it's actually challenging for us to even go in that direction anymore. It would be like swimming upstream.
Yes, I understand. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you again.
All right.
I would also want to ask you something about the precursors.
Yes.
Will the precursors know who they are before open contact occurs in 2026, 2027?
You may have a misunderstanding. The precursors already know who they are. They're not humans born on Earth.
That's indeed a misunderstanding from my side. Okay.
There are preparers who are born on Earth. We call them preparers. But the precursors are precursors of the hybrids coming to live among you.
Uh-huh.
So the precursors are already hybrids that were not born on Earth.
Okay.
But on Earth, you have preparers who are doing a similar job from the point of view of Earth. Those, like people exploring their consciousness, helping others, being of service to humanity, that are preparing the way for a different kind of reality experience. So we typically refer to those as preparers, whereas the precursors are actually hybrid beings from another reality.
And this is it. Thank you so much, Bashar, for everything you do for us.
It is our passion and our pleasure. Thank you. Good day. Avail.
Hi, Bashar. It's nice meeting you. My name is Marie from Rhode Island. And my question is this. I'm raising a special young lady. She's 17 years old, my granddaughter. And she's autistic, but very high functioning, very verbal. And she has highly superior autobiographical memory, which is also considered called HSAM. From what I understand, there's only like 100 cases reported, but I suspect there's many more. My question is, what is the function of this ability? I'd like to have your spin on it. I've been researching quite a bit, and I'm trying to figure out how to be as supportive as possible, other than her being a fantastic assistant, to me. My memory's not so spot on. So she will basically remember everything. We could go back to, like, what did we do a year ago today? And she'll say it was a Wednesday, and it was raining, and so-and-so visited, and we ate this for dinner, and I've been keeping journals and testing her on it, and she's spot on. So I'm just trying to figure out, like, what would be the function of this ability, and how can I be supportive of her, or in a spiritual sense, like, how would I direct it? Okay, thank you very much, and I hope to hear from you.
Well, there are many ways in which this ability can be utilized in your society. Obviously, in a sense, a person like that can be a living library for the idea of the events in her life and others with whom she interacts, so that she can recall flawlessly the ideas, the nuances, the immediate moments, all the way back to her birth. So it can be used for someone to record events so that she is an absolute keeper of those events, so that there is no misunderstandings, no mistakes about what was going on at a certain point in her life and the lives of the others that she interacted with. So it can be used that way. At the same time, it can also be understood as something that fixes a particular reality and freezes it in a certain way. It can be utilized to understand how the level of commitment to a certain idea can be expressed when someone focuses strongly enough on a particular path, on a particular idea, so that there is no deviation from it whatsoever. So it can be used that way as well, because many people on your planet wonder, well, how can I have the discipline to stay on the path? How can I not stray from the path? The quality that she exhibits can show you the degree to which a being can focus on a particular guideline, on a particular path, to the absolute exclusion of any other path. Not that she's necessarily exhibiting it that way, apparently, but that can also be representative of that degree of laser-like focus on the idea of what your soul's path is, with no deviation whatsoever. That you are walking that razor's edge, and there is absolutely no question that you will ever lose your balance or fall off of what may appear to be a very thin path, because to the person with that kind of focus, the path is actually quite wide, and there's just no way they're going to lose the sense of where they're going, because there's no way they lose the sense of where they've been. It is a direct, linear path that keeps them on the straight and narrow with absolutely no deviation. It can be used to understand that degree of focus as well in any endeavor that might be representative of someone's soul path and their passion in life.
Oh, hello, Bashar. It's lovely to meet you.
And you as well. What would you like to discuss this day?
I'd like to discuss that I have a real problem of handling anger in other people and conflict situations, because it seems like anytime there's a conflict around me, what happens is I try to keep the peace, but the conflict seems to escalate to the point where if I start feeling angry myself, that's the point when it actually starts de-escalating. And I don't understand why I have to take on the anger vibration myself to actually stop the situation.
You don't. But by doing so, you appease others, because there is a saying on your planet that misery loves company. So when they understand that you are reflecting the same thing that they are reflecting, they feel more at ease, because it prevents them from really facing what's going on within themselves that makes them angry to begin with. So anytime a lot of individuals will show more calmness to a person who is angry, it can actually make them angrier, because they feel they're not being heard. But when you become angry, they now feel that you're a kindred spirit, that you understand them more, that you're speaking their language. Now, that doesn't mean you have to become angry, but that's what's happening energetically and dynamically.
Right. Okay.
So there may be other ways that you can let them know you hear them, and therefore that can calm down their anger. So it's not about you having to match their frequency of anger. It's about being able to relate to them in some way, shape, or form, that you truly hear what they're saying, and that you validate what they're saying and validate their emotions for what they're going through, without necessarily having to go there yourself.
I see.
So it depends on how you're keeping the peace that makes the difference.
I see. I see. Okay. That leads on to my second question, that a couple of months ago, I found a new job, and it was really, really exciting. The way I found it, it was just so not usual. It was like, it was it was great. And I joined a new company, and ever since everything is uphill struggle, and I don't understand it because it feels like it was the highest joy that you are mentioning. I was following my highest joy, and it was great in the beginning.
All right.
It's just uphill struggle.
All right. So this may be an opportunity for you to change your definitions about what kind of challenges you are facing instead of defining them in a negative way. So if it really is representative of your passion, very often following your passion, as I've told you, will unleash one of the tools within the kit that is the reflective mirror that reveals to you anything within you that might be causing misalignment in the way that you are approaching the things that are representative of your passion. So you may be having negative definitions that challenge you to change those definitions about what it is you're doing. Can you be more specific about what the job is and give us an example of what one of the challenges is that you're experiencing?
Sure, it's an office finance department job, and I have great experience in it, but this company has a great reputation in the country. When I joined them, I thought it would be a smooth process of me just fitting in, but several of the processes are not working. They're in the middle of a huge turmoil of changing everything upside down. And it just feels like whatever I'm trying to do, I'm doing it wrong.
All right. So what kind of discussions have you had with the people running the company about the way in which you may be going about things or in the way that you're experiencing things? Have you had any discussions?
I have, yes. I asked for help and support, and they are giving it to me, but they are new themselves. It's the whole company is being, the management being replaced, and it feels like uphill struggle. It feels like nobody really has a clear picture of what we are doing at the moment.
All right. Is there something you can do to provide a clearer picture of what needs to happen?
I think I might, but given the rate at which I'm making mistakes at the moment, I feel like there's so much to learn and at the same time so much to change.
All right. But what I'm saying is maybe you were attracted to be there because they need your help in clarifying things in a way that would actually make it easier for everyone and smoother for everyone to operate toward their goal. So are there things that you can think of that would actually allow things to be smoother, that you could share with the people running the company that might actually help them make the company run more smoothly?
Yes, I think I could. Actually.
Then why don't you have those conversations? Because maybe that's why you're there.
Yes. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you so much. I have one more question.
Yes.
And this is about, I would really love to experience oneness. And I don't know if there is a specific meditation that I could do or some kind of a principle, mind training. I could.
Well, it sounds like your dog has the information that you need. Oneness.
Sorry?
You say you want to experience oneness, and I said it sounds like your dog has the information that you need.
He probably does.
So, oneness, what is your definition of experiencing oneness? What do you imagine that would feel like?
I imagine it would feel peaceful and calm and without conflict.
Peaceful and calm. So, anything else? What does oneness mean to you?
It means going with the flow and being helpful to people and to myself and just basically just smooth living.
All right. Being of service in that way. So you have just listed a bunch of things that are relatively physically practical. What is it that prevents you from behaving that way?
I guess it's my own attitude.
Yes. So if you want to experience oneness, you have to be one with yourself. You have to be at peace with yourself and not define things in a negative way when you come upon a challenge. So you have to approach them with oneness, with connectivity, with communication. You have to approach them in a peaceful way. You have to have a peaceful energy within yourself and a flow within yourself so that you can experience going with your flow when a challenge arises, because challenges help you grow. They're there for a positive reason. Look at them that way and approach them with your flow. How can this serve me? How can I use this challenge to serve others in a positive way? Dogs are a symbol of service on your planet. So be of service in any challenge that you face, but approach it from a sense of oneness, from a sense of connectivity, from a sense of peace within yourself. Yes?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Bashar.
You're welcome. Will that help you?
Thank you. Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good day.
Good day to you too. Bye.
Bye.
Hi. I would love to ask Bashar a question about their way of making initiatives work. I'm wondering what I could learn from how in Bashar society they organize themselves to pursue a bigger goal, a common goal, yeah, but more bigger goal and common goal. I'm curious how I could translate this to organization development in supporting organizations in their transformations in alignment with the 5 laws, and for people to be able to realize their talents and passions in realizing this bigger goal and creating abundance. I'm also curious how the Trinity manifests in the organization, especially the neutral one. Thank you.
Well, again, by using the formula, one of the aspects of your life that starts to shape your life is synchronicity. You start to realize that everything is synchronicity. You look at it and experience it in a sense, first and foremost, from a neutral point of view, just recognizing that everything is an orchestration. Everything is connected. There are no accidents. And from that neutral observation that everything is connected, everything is an expression of one thing, then you can start allowing the expression of emotion to ride along with it, to feel the joy of that connection, the joy of that orchestration, the ecstasy of those interconnected communications, and allow yourself to experience the idea of the reflection of synchronicity in your life that says, do this first, do this next, do this now, 1, 2, 3. By bringing the experiences to you in the order in which they contain the highest amount of passion, the highest amount of attraction, the highest amount of curiosity, creativity, inspiration, and joy. Let it organize things in that way. That's how you do that, until suddenly you start functioning in pure synchronism, being always at the right place at the right moment in exactly the perfect timing, interacting with exactly who you need to interact with, doing exactly what you need to do at that particular perfect moment in time. It will happen that way eventually. It may take some practice, that's okay. Let the process unfold naturally. But basically, that's how you do it. You start from the neutral place of understanding everything is an orchestration, whether it appears to be or not. There are no accidents. Everything is connected. There's a reason why everything is happening. It may not always have to do mostly with you. You may be participating in something for someone else, getting something out of it that's more important for them than it is for you personally. But that doesn't mean it's not important that you participate in a gathering that may help someone else make a realization that helps their soul grow and move forward on their path. It's still a dance. It's still an orchestration. You're there for a reason. It's not an accident where you find yourself. So once you start acknowledging it from that balanced point, that neutral point, then you can start finding the things that are personally synchronistic for you as well, because you're included in that dance. And if you open up to it, opportunities and situations will arise that will contain the passion, the curiosity, the attractiveness that will let you know, all right, this one is for you, and this one is for you. but you will still participate in things that are for others as well, because part of the idea is that you are of service to humanity by being part of the orchestration. And then your life just gets organized that way.
Hello.
Good day. Good day.
Good day to you. Nice to meet you, Bashar.
And you as well. What would you like to discuss this day?
Yes. I have a question concerning out-of-body experience.
Yes.
And I've been having many experiences actually, in where I am in the vibrational state at the gate, let's say at the door of moving out of my body.
Yeah.
And also multiple experiences in which I was outside of my body, floating at the ceiling, floating on top of my house.
All right. So what's your question?
My question is, I'm a very curious person, curious being, and I want to explore that realm. But I've never been able, because it happens spontaneously, I've never been able to control it or put myself at ease that I can go easily out of my body.
But you say you're already experiencing being out of your body. So when you actually experience being out of your body, what do you do?
Well, when I'm stuck.
How are you stuck? How do you think you need to explore other realms?
By moving my energetic body somewhere.
No, not by moving. All you have to do is imagine being in another place and you'll be there. You're thinking of it in physical terms. I have to move. You don't. You just have to imagine feeling that you're somewhere else. Picture that you're somewhere else and you will be there. Movement is not the same in those realms as it is in physical reality. So you can't think of it in the way that you would think of it if you were a physical being. So the next time you find yourself floating on the ceiling or floating above your house, imagine another place that you're familiar with, someplace on your planet, or even imagine being out among the stars or being above the earth. Just picture it and you'll be there.
All right.
That's all you have to do.
That's very helpful. Thank you.
Yes.
I would also like to ask another question.
Yes.
And it's concerning here on Earth, at a certain point in life, people start to have children.
Yes, sometimes.
Natural thing that occurs. But I'm 32 right now. Many friends of mine having kids, and I love kids. It's such a joy.
Yes.
But I'm doubtful. And I was wondering.
You're doubtful about what?
To have or not have children.
Then don't worry about it. If you've made an agreement to have children, nothing will stop it from happening at the exact correct time. If you haven't made an agreement to have children, then you won't have children. Just let your life unfold by following the formula, following your passion, and let it happen when you've already agreed that it should, because those things have already been determined by your spirit before you incarnated.
Mm-hmm. And what about birth control? If I take the pills, then I won't,
Don't worry about that either. Again, if you're supposed to have children, then something will happen where you either wind up not taking it and you'll feel that you don't wish to take it, or it won't matter that you take it because things that are supposed to happen can supersede some of the physical elements on your planet anyway. There have been many people that have been told by your doctors they cannot have children, and yet they do. So don't worry about the idea of the physical parameters. Something will synchronistically occur that will make it possible if you've made that agreement. All you have to do is go with the flow and just trust your feelings and instincts at every given moment.
I will. That was a nice thing to hear.
Don't worry about it.
All right. One last question. I'm a dancer and my life is dancing. I teach dance, I perform.
Yes.
And I notice in the world, the arts in any way, shape, or form are very a necessity, are very well here on this earth, and I was wondering what the meaning of arts in any shape or form is on an earthly level or on a cosmic level.
Art is a basis for self-reflection, for communication, to put one in touch with oneself and how one responds to the art.
Mm-hmm.
So art is a mirror.
Yes. And do you have arts in
Absolutely.
other?
Absolutely. Many different kinds. I myself am a sculptor, as well as being a first contact specialist.
And how does that visualize? What does that look like?
There are many different things it can look like. We can form certain materials spontaneously that are nanomaterials, what you would call a kind of metallic crystalline substance that can be formed into many different shapes. And the idea is that certain sculptures can be made so that they change shape with the person that is observing it, to literally reflect what is going on in that person in their observation of it. So it literally functions like a kind of symbolic mirror.
So if I'm understanding this correctly, the art that is being shaped by what the person that's looking at it.
Yes.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yes, we think so.
I hope I can experience that.
There are forms that you can create that will react and respond to people in different ways. Some of it may include electronics and so on and so forth, until such time as you actually develop physical materials that will respond the way I am telling you ours respond. But there are many ways to do it. So use your creative imagination and see what you can come up with. Certainly dance itself is something that can be interactive and a two-way street, so that the response of the audience can change the way that you dance in the moment, if you are receptive to the mood of the audience.
Ooh, that's a very nice inspiration.
All right. See what you can do with that.
Yes. Thank you so much, Bashar.
You are so welcome. Anything else?
No, that's it for today.
All right. Then happy dancing.
Thank you so much.
Greetings, Bashar. I was wondering if you could kindly discuss with us what a typical day entails for an adult being on your planet. The reason I'm interested in is most adult humans, especially in the West, have to wear different hats on a given day, between, dividing our time between sleeping, working, being, a family member, such as a parent, a kid, a sibling, etc., and creating some personal time off to find more joy in life. Sometimes it's a bit tricky to wear all these hats, so I was wondering if you would have any words of wisdom in terms of compartmentalizing our day to find that joy, to create that joy more. Thank you.
Again, it's not about compartmentalizing. It's about allowing synchronicity to be the organizing principle so that one experience flows into another more naturally. It's not about finding time to experience personal joy. It's about choosing those things that allow you to experience personal joy in the entirety of your life, every moment, even though things may be different expressions at different times, and may be representative of different relationships that you have, and different communications and different experiences that you have, that all fall within the idea of your personal joy. It's not about saying, well, I have to do this and I have to do that, and I get these little tiny moments where I can be personal for myself to find joy for myself. If it's not all joyful, you're not going about it in the way that we suggest by following the formula, and you're not allowing synchronicity to be the organizing principle that allows you to flow smoothly from one event to the other, one experience to the other, in a way that is overall joyful for you. That means you're not being your natural self. So be your natural self. Follow the formula. Let synchronicity organize the things that are important and relevant for your life experience, and you will ultimately discover that every single one of those things can be experienced perhaps in a slightly different way than what you're doing it now, but can be experienced in a joyful way that's correct for you, as well as everyone else involved.
Hi, Bashar. My name is Jennifer. Thanks for everything you do. I wanted to ask you a question about highly sensitive people. In the psychology field here, there's that label for individuals who carry very deep emotions, negative or positive. They are very rigid thinkers. They naturally carry lots of shame and anxiousness. They're detailed oriented, very imaginative. Their depth of processing is very high, and so they get overstimulated and therefore emotionally reactive. And essentially all their senses are overly heightened. I fit that profile, and so does my 5-year-old. And we've been told that depending on the parenting style, this can enhance their sensitivities, whether in a negative or positive way. So I wanted to ask you, what all can you tell us about highly sensitive people? And what can I do to help my 5-year-old who is too young to apply your teachings directly to live a life without so much pain and hardship that can come with having this type of temperament? Thank you so much, Bashar. Take care.
Well, first and foremost, you have to realize that there will always be a few exceptions to what we are about to say. That being said, the majority of people on your planet who function this way are the result of very deep trauma. They have been traumatized to such a degree that they have become overly sensitive as a warning system to avoid anything that might trigger the trauma experienced within themselves. So it mostly comes from the idea of deep personal trauma. Now, the idea for someone very young that's exhibiting this, to some degree, it can be that the soul decided that they're going to be a reflection of you going through your experience of personal trauma, and so they're reflecting it to you, they're exhibiting it as well, because they're picking it up from you and throwing it back at you to show you what you're experiencing, to show you that it's something you need to deal with. That can be one of the reasons that very young children may be experiencing the symptoms of the same kind of trauma that the adult parent is experiencing. At the same time, some of the things that can be done about this is to provide environments that stimulate the child's ability to exercise their creative imagination, to think of alternative ways in which they can respond or react to certain situations that they would otherwise react to in a highly sensitive way. So you have to be creative and imaginative enough yourself to invent scenarios, to take them through in a playful way, these scenarios, to get them to utilize their creative imaginations about how to problem solve in certain situations that they might otherwise react to in an overly traumatized, highly sensitive way. So you have to stimulate their creative imaginations either with stories or some kind of interactive experience that gets them to dig deep into their creative resources to come up with alternative paths, alternative ways to think of how else, what other ways could you solve this situation, could solve this problem, this challenge? Is there some other way your imagination can come up with to face this challenge so you don't feel so overly sensitized and reactive to it? I'm paraphrasing, but you get the idea.
Hello.
All right. Good day. Good day.
Good day. I'm excited and honored to be here with you.
As are we with you.
So I have a question about deserving and receiving.
Yes.
I have noticed that I really struggle with feeling like I deserve to receive.
Why?
Why?
Yes. Where did you learn that from? Where did you pick up the idea that you don't deserve to receive?
I imagine it's from my family.
All right. You understand that you are receiving all the time, otherwise you wouldn't be having a physical reality experience, yes?
That is correct, yes.
So you
Yeah.
must believe you deserve to receive something,
Yes.
or you would be experiencing nothing.
That is correct. Okay.
I know, that's why I said it. So you see the paradox here?
Yeah.
So the question isn't, do you deserve to receive? It's, what is it that you deserve to receive that's different from the things you're already willing to believe you deserve to receive? What makes them different?
I imagine I need to earn the things I prefer to receive.
Well, in some senses, that can be accurate, but what does earn actually mean? Earning doesn't have to be suffering or struggling. Earning can simply be the result of being willing to take an action in a direction that will allow you to receive something, because you have to put out in order to get back. So just the willingness to take the action can be earning what you receive from that action. It can be that simple.
Yes. I think
So why are you making earning such a struggle?
I think what it is that I feel intrinsically I'm not enough to deserve the things I prefer to receive.
Can you give us an example of what you prefer to receive?
Okay. I'll give an example that's closest to my heart.
Yes, please.
When my son was a newborn and smiled at me, I felt I did not deserve that. So that's love. That was an expression of love that's how I felt like I was receiving love, and I did not earn that love just by being his mother.
I see. And why not?
Because the voice in my head said, he doesn't know who I am.
Yes, he does. He knew who you were way more than he knows it now. Because children, when they're first born, are still very connected to spirit, and they can see who you actually are. Therefore, his smile was absolutely proof that you deserve to be loved. Now, let's explore this and examine this from another point of view, shall we?
Yes.
All right. And by the way, if you find yourself emotional and crying, that's a good sign.
Thank you.
You know what we've said about that?
It's a release of something.
Yes. Anytime physically you hold on to a belief, there has to be a physical component in your body that represents that belief. That's usually in the chemistry of your body. So if you're letting go of a belief, you have to wash that chemical component out of your system, and that usually happens through tears, though it can happen in other ways as well. So they're tears of release.
Yes.
All right? So that's fine. If you feel yourself welling up, just let it flow. All right?
Thank you.
Now, I'm going to assume quite safely, I might mention, that I'm having a conversation with someone who actually exists. Yes?
Yes.
You're certain you exist, yes?
Yes.
All right. Pretty certain or really certain that you exist?
I'm really certain.
All right. Do you understand that creation doesn't make mistakes?
Yes.
Do you really understand that?
I don't think I do.
All right. Do you understand that if creation actually made a mistake, it would collapse under its own weight?
I think I understand that. Yes.
Creation is not complicated, but it's so complex, so interwoven, exists on so many different levels, including parallel realities and multiverses and so on and so forth, that if there was an error in any of that, the whole thing would just collapse in on itself, and it wouldn't really exist in the way that it does. It wouldn't be capable of maintaining its existence. Do you understand?
Yes.
It's like having a weak link in something that needs every single component to be equally strong with every other component so that it can maintain its shape. You have certain games that exist on your planet that explore this idea. Whereas if you remove one thing, the whole thing falls apart.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So you are one of those components. You exist. And that means creation absolutely needed you to exist in order for it to be complete. Otherwise, it would be incomplete without you. Just by definition of the fact that you exist, you're worthy and deserving of that existence. You are necessary to existence itself. Do you understand that?
Yes.
All right. So by saying, I'm not deserving to be who I am not deserving of the vibrational frequency of existence itself, which you translate as unconditional love in human terms. That's what unconditional love is. The actual frequency of existence itself. You follow?
Yes.
That's how you translate it in your physical reality. So by the fact that you exist, existence itself, creation itself, all that is itself, says you deserve to experience this unconditional love. By saying you don't deserve that, you are singling yourself out of all of creation as the only component that doesn't belong in creation. You are arguing with creation about the fact of your existence, and I guarantee you, you will never win that argument because you cannot cease to exist. That's your fundamental state. That which exists cannot become that which is non-existent, because by definition, non-existence doesn't exist. There's nowhere for existence to go. So, by the very fact that you exist, all that is telling you you deserve to, and you deserve the unconditional vibrational love of existence itself in order for you to continue to be a component that is vital to all of existence. So stop arguing with creation, because in actual fact, though that may seem to be the idea of, oh, I don't deserve this, may seem to be a very humble idea, it's actually the most arrogant idea you can express. Because you're saying, I alone out of all of creation am the only one that doesn't deserve to be loved. That's very arrogant. Do you want to be arrogant?
No, I do not.
Then will you be willing to accept that you deserve to love yourself?
Yes.
And that you don't have to do anything to deserve that other than the fact that you exist. That's your foundation. That's where you start from. That you deserve unconditional love by the fact that you exist. There is no other reason you need. None. It's a fundamental, built-in thing to your existence itself. Now you have the free will, as you have discovered, to say, I don't deserve it. But do you see the paradox in that? You are so unconditionally supported, so unconditionally loved, that you are given the free will to believe you're not loved.
Yes.
That's how loved you are. That you can think, even, I'm not loved. That's how loved you are, that you're allowed to think that. So, which do you prefer?
I prefer to feel loved.
Nothing stops you from understanding that that's your fundamental, essential core frequency. Because you are part of existence, and existence itself is the vibration of unconditional love. So, that's your nature. That's your natural, essential state. And then you go from there. So, if you begin that way, if you are that way, if that's your fundamental nature, it's up to you to decide how to experience that unconditional love. You can create a scenario, as you have been doing, where you choose to deprive yourself of that feeling, but understand you're using that unconditional love to create a feeling that you're not loved.
Mm.
So if you don't prefer that anymore, if you're tired of playing that game, you can, with absolutely no fanfare, no other reason, no earning scenario, you can simply decide, you know, I'm done with that. I'll just go back to my natural state of knowing, not just believing, knowing that I'm unconditionally loved, and then say, well, now what else would I like to do with that? Because you've already been using it to pretend that you're not loved. And if you're tired of that, you can now decide to do something else with the unconditional love that is yours. Because everyone has it, because you are part of existence. So what would you rather do with it?
I would rather receive it. I would rather.
But you see, that's what I'm saying. It's not even an issue of receiving it. You are it.
Ah, yes.
You don't even have to receive it. You're made of it. It's not about receiving it. It's about, what do you want to do with it?
Just be it.
Be it in all the things that you do. That's why we give you the formula that says, act on your passion. Because then you're using the unconditional love you are made of to do things that expand creation. So don't wait to receive it. It's already what you're made of. You don't need to receive it. It is you. Does that help?
Yes.
No, all right. Are you breathing a little easier?
Yes, I am. And I'm thinking about when you said to burn the bridge behind you.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Bashar. I really appreciate you.
Do you now understand how to feel at this moment the smile your child gave you when it was born?
I feel it in my heart.
Do you feel and understand that that was existence itself smiling at you?
I feel that right now, yes.
All right. Then choose to stay in that feeling if you wish. It's up to you. Because again, you are unconditionally loved enough to choose whatever it is that works for you. You're the one in charge. What you say goes. All right?
Yes.
All right. We thank you. Our unconditional love to you. And good day.
Good day. Thank you.
You are welcome.
Hello, Bashar. I would like to ask you about the incident where I had what appeared to be a concrete shard manifest itself in my back garden following what sounded like some sort of a lightning strike when I was suddenly awoken. I'm curious as to the origin of this object and whether I should or should not have accepted this as some form of gift and brought it into my home. You and I both know where that currently rests, should its purpose be revealed and it be positive. Thank you.
This is simply a reflective symbol for you that energy and matter are exchangeable and interchangeable, as your own Einstein said. The idea of a lightning strike, an energy strike of some form, can concretize matter in that way. So it functions for you as a permission slip symbol to understand that your own energy can manifest into physical reality that quickly if you are your true self. It's a symbol and a reflection of that ability of quick manifestation if you are willing to be your true self and allow your energy to flow in a superconductive way. But these kinds of things can happen in your reality, where bolts of energy can suddenly allow matter to be fused in such a way that it creates these kinds of objects, these kinds of shards.
Hello, Bashar. I have a question. I am really interested in shamanism. And in my trip through Mexico and Peru last month, I experienced what they call in shamanism soul retrievals. Some of my essences, my soul essences, I lost somewhere along the way in my life, came back to me by recognizing the process of the soul loss of the particular quality, which made me reconnect with that essential part of me. Can you maybe explain a bit more about the concept of soul loss in relation to traumas? And how do you see this technique to make ourselves whole again? Or is there no way of not being whole? Thank you so much.
Again, this involves paradox. There is no way of not being whole, but by being whole, you actually have the power to create the appearance and the illusion of not being whole, of losing something or losing connection to something. But you're using the connection to create an experience of not having a connection. And that's the paradox. And it can serve a purpose for you to go through those experiences so you can rediscover yourself from a new point of view and expand your understanding of your soul and your soul's path so your soul can grow and expand and accelerate. But you never actually can lose connection to your soul. It's not possible because you are a soul. You don't have a soul, you are a soul. But again, because you are always connected to Source, you can, through its unconditional support, play the game of not having that connection. You can play the pretend illusion of losing in that touch, being in touch with yourself in that way. But it's only temporary for the purpose of rediscovering yourself by going through a process that allows you to have that new perspective and to then emerge as a different person. So you're using your connection to pretend you don't have one so you can regain it and become a different person that is more representative of the full soul that you always are. This is the earth game. This is the earth forgettingness so you can remember who you are from a new point of view. That's just another way of what you're describing as the shamanism and the idea that trauma allows you to feel disconnected so that you can learn how to regain that connection that you've always had, but don't feel like you've always had. So that you know you are self-empowered enough to create a transformative experience to bring yourself back into the awareness that that connection is always there and it's not something you can actually lose, not literally, but you can pretend that you have.
Hello, Tadeo.
Nania.
We have so many wonderful questions from our viewers.
All right.
Okay, the first one is, can you talk about how the idea of service relates to ideas like sacrifice, giving things away, or doing things we might not want to do in some ways? Is that part of it sometimes, of compromising, of giving something up in some way? Or should authentic service always feel easy and natural?
Always easy and natural. We are not talking about sacrifice in that sense. Sacrifice would be to let go of a part of the self that you might actually need to be able to perform the services for others. So it's not about sacrifice. It's not about giving up a part of yourself that is important for you to retain, to be yourself, your authentic self. When you are being of service as your authentic self, when you are helping as your authentic self, it will always be smooth and easy and giving in a loving way. It is not about the idea of feeling deprived. If you feel deprived, then you are not necessarily going about it in a way that is actually service.
Okay, thank you. Is service something that we need or should surrender and give ourselves away to and do for free? Or is it all right to be paid and supported for our services? What's the role or distinction between volunteering versus the forms of service where we are working and getting paid?
It is absolutely fine to be paid for the services that you provide. When we talk about the idea of volunteering, it is mostly for the purpose of getting you to step outside your normal routine, getting you to start investigating and exploring what other connections you may not ordinarily think of making with people, with situations, to be able to expand your view and your perspective of what other people are going through in situations that might be unusual for you were you to simply continue in your normal routine. So the idea of the volunteering that we are talking about is to sort of get you outside yourself, outside your normal routines, to explore something new and different, where you can be of great help, be of great service to others in a new and unusual way. Especially for people on your planet who experience things like depression, it is one of the strongest ways that you can get out of your depression is by suddenly going into a voluntary situation where you now have to help other people who may be going through similar things, or even things that are more difficult or more strenuous than what you have been going through, so that you can gain some perspective and understand your relationship to the idea of the situations that those people may be experiencing. This is primarily the reason why we suggest the idea of the Interstellar Alliance Volunteer Corps. It doesn't mean that you cannot do things and be of service to people where you get compensated for it. Of course, that is the way that things work on your planet, as long as you are also willing to expand your understanding, as we have talked about in the past, of all the different ways that abundance can be defined, so that it's not just about the idea of money being paid in the typical sense, but the idea of being willing to open up and receive in any way, shape, or form that allows you to continue to follow your passion. So there's nothing wrong with that. And again, the volunteering that we're talking about is mostly to get people to change their routine, to get themselves out of themselves, to step outside their normal ideas, normal perspectives, to shake things up a little bit and give them an opportunity to walk in other people's shoes.
Okay. And this person is saying that sometimes when I try to follow my excitement and be of service or share something that I'm excited to share, I find that I can get stuck in perfectionism and self-doubt. For example, if I share something about astrology with someone, I worry about if I tell them something that isn't fully clear, or it's wrong in some way, or confuses them, or it's not the right permission slip for them. I then hesitate to share anything at all, or even just sharing about a TV show, a book, or something that I like with someone. Part of me worries that it might not be good or might not be right for them, or it just distracts them from their path and it's not the best thing I could share with them. So can you address can you talk about how it might be possible to relax around some of this?
Yes, well, you're taking responsibility for their responses rather than simply being responsible to them by being yourself. Of course, the sharing must always be where you sense it is appropriate to share these things. But remember that if they've been attracted into your life, then there is a reason that they're there. And this is where the idea also is that you can add caveats to anything that you share. You can always begin by saying, this is my perspective. This is my belief. This is what I've learned. It may or may not work for you, but I'm going to share this and you can decide whether or not it's appropriate for you. So as long as you lead anything you're sharing with that caveat, then you can relax because you have already prepared them to understand that while you're sharing an idea with them about anything, it's still that you're leaving it up to them to decide whether or not to apply it in their lives. But you can certainly take it on faith, so to speak, that the reason that they're in your life at all is because they're willing to hear what you have to say, willing to receive some of what it is you're willing to share, as long as you do it in an appropriate way. And again, give them the caveat that this is your perspective, you're just sharing it. In the event it may be of assistance to them, but you don't expect or insist on anything, and you can allow them to take it in whatever way, shape, or form they will, or to leave it behind. So as long as you make that clear, then you're free to share anything, because they now know that you're not attempting to force it on them or insist that they must believe it. You're simply saying, hey, this is my life, this is what I've experienced, this is what I see, this is my perspective, and therefore they are free to take it or leave it. So lighten up on yourself. Don't be so responsible for everyone's response. Just be responsible to them by being yourself.
Great. And then I think this is from the same person. In an earlier transmission, you discussed the idea of learning from and using past mistakes in order to move forward positively and be of service to humanity. But does our service always have to relate to the mistakes that we've made or experienced in the past? Or can we just bring what we've learned and who we've become forward in a more general way into how we are in the world, and let that then connect us to the ways of being of service?
Yes, either is fine. Whatever seems appropriate. Sometimes the lessons that you have learned in a specific way may be relevant for helping others who also are going through those specific experiences, and therefore, at those times, it's appropriate to take the lessons from a specific experience and share it in a specific way, in the same way that you went through it. Otherwise, no, you don't have to. Whatever lessons you have learned can simply be used to share with people in ways that are of service to them, without necessarily it being specific to the way that you learned the lessons. So no, it doesn't have to be the same, but allow synchronicity to bring to you the people in whatever way, shape, or form they need to experience it. They will let you know in what way they need to experience the information you have gained, and the wisdom you have gained, and the experience you have gained from learning the lessons you have learned. You'll be able to tell whether or not you need to couch it, shall we say, in the same way that you went through it in that particular discipline or subject, or whether you can simply take whatever you have learned and apply it in a different way according to what they bring with regard to their questions or their situation. So yes and no, it depends on the situation.
Okay. And does being of service always look like directly connecting to and helping others, teaching about something, or taking actions in the physical world in some way? Or are there also valid forms and ways of being of service energetically on our own, or even just through our own healing process, way of being in the world, etc.?
All of it. Don't leave anything out. Do the energy, heal yourself, and take the actions that are of service to others as well. It's not just one or the other. All of them are important. It's a holistic experience. So yes, you're helping by changing your own energy. Yes, you're helping others by healing yourself, because you can't really help others unless you're helping yourself be a whole person. But the idea is, don't shy away from taking the actions as an alternative. In other words, don't make action an alternative to simply dealing with your own energy. All of them are important.
And as far as the idea of ways of being of service to humanity, many people get a lot of joy out of being kind and thoughtful and caring of their pets and helping them heal, and sometimes feel guilty that somehow that's not as good as being of service to humanity. Isn't it correct that both actions raise your vibration, and it's not necessary to have it be only about being of service to humans?
Again, this is about understanding the whole package. Animals are connected to the angelic realm. They are more evolved than many humans. So they're here to reflect to you what it is you may need to learn to be your authentic self, so that you can perhaps not only help them in the situations in which they're reflecting things to you that you need to heal within yourself, but then that gives you the opportunity to also be of service to humanity, which is why the animals are here to begin with, to be of service to you. So you can use what they're reflecting to you to heal yourself and thus be more of service to humanity and everything on the planet. Again, you have to look at it holistically as an expression of the entire package. Don't leave anything out. One is not a substitute for the other. They all need to be performed. Kindness to animals, service to humans, service to trees, service to the entire planet. All of it is important. It's a whole package.
So whatever you're most attracted to would be your guide.
It would be your guide, but that doesn't eliminate the idea of learning to be attracted to other things, because many times you're not attracted to other things because of fear-based beliefs and limitations that you have imposed upon your ability to tell what your passion actually is. And this, again, is one of the reasons why we suggest the Interstellar Alliance Volunteer Corps, because it can get you to step outside yourself and find out where you might be limiting yourself from understanding what your passions could be if you're simply willing to get out in the world a little bit more, step outside yourself a little bit farther, and start interacting with people in circumstances and situations that perhaps your limitations haven't allowed you to ponder that might actually be of great service to you to do. So again, the volunteering is all about getting outside your normal expectations and assumptions and exploring whether or not there might be other connections that would be representative of your passion if you would only give yourself an opportunity to step beyond the limitations and assumptions that many people may be making about what they can and cannot do.
And on a biochemical level, this idea of raising your vibration by being of service can you explain a little more about that connection?
Many people find themselves surprised that when they start being of service to others, even in, and especially maybe in, voluntary situations, feeding the homeless, building them houses, helping with hospice work, things like that, it connects them to situations that allow them to feel that they are worthy, that they are here to help, that they have the ability to expand themselves. And that increases not only the energetic vibrations, but the biochemical makeup of their bodies in healthier and healthier ways. Helping others helps you, literally, chemically, energetically, in many different ways. It starts making you feel good about yourself, worthy within yourself, that you have the ability to express this service, this help, this kindness to others. It starts feeding back into your own body in many different ways and allows you to become a healthier individual, one that is more awake, alive, and alert, so that you can again be of more help and get the rewards that come to you for doing so.
Okay, that's wonderful. It's nice that we're organically created that way.
Yes, because everything is one thing. Therefore, the idea of any form of connection that allows you to increase your sense of that connection is something that will improve your health and your stability and your energy on many different levels. It's what you were built to do, because everything is one thing. So helping others is your physical expression of allowing you to recognize the connections between everything, because everything is one thing.
That's great.
Yes.
So the next question is about open contact, disinformation, and suppression.
Yes.
And basically, the person is saying many of us are fully aware of the prior contact between ET civilizations and our government that have been suppressed for decades. Any higher knowledge or technology the government acquired has been kept hidden from the public, while they promote fear-based propaganda and disinformation to the citizens. Can you explain to us how this will be avoided during the period of open contact? What should, this person is putting between 2026 and 2027. What should we expect open contact to look like, and will it take place only in the United States, or will this happen globally?
Globally, of course. Why would it be limited to one country? The idea, of course, is to think about what you're saying. You have just told us that you know that certain factions are hiding the information. Well, how do you know that? Therefore, it's not really a secret, is it? So the idea, as we have often said, is the biggest secret that everyone knows. So those days are almost over. And of course, with open contact, would you not assume that if it's open contact, the public would be very aware of our existence? Otherwise, it wouldn't be open contact. Therefore, being completely aware of our existence because we openly show ourselves to you, wouldn't that be a prevention for someone being able to hide the information? So think about it logically. You already know a lot of this because information has leaked out, and therefore, when open contact occurs, it will be something that will be undeniable. No one will be able to suppress it because, shall we say it in your language, will be very much in your face. So the idea is, again, it will start slowly, bit at a time, to help you adapt, to help you get used to the idea of our presence, our energy, and to help you make adjustments and changes in your society. Those, of course, that are willing to go in that direction and shift to that reality, as always. But then you'll wind up on the version of Earth where it's a given that this is happening. There will be those, again, that will wind up on a different version where no open contact will occur. This is simply one of the side effects of the splitting prism of going into different versions of parallel reality Earths. But those that are open to it, information will be revealed in that reality. Information will be known in the same way that you know of the information you're saying is supposed to be so secret. So clearly, the fact that you're even able to ask that question or make that statement is an indication that that information is coming to light, or you wouldn't know about it at all. There would be no question or statement to make. So it's coming to the surface. You're proof of that by asking that question and making that statement. And it will become stronger in the years to come.
Okay. And regarding the Interstellar Alliance social experiment, this individual is saying, while I take part in it, is it okay for me to get politically involved in participating in public social gatherings where we as a group are asking our political leaders to stop sending weapons to the war in Ukraine or to cancel agreements that my country has signed to support war in any way, shape, or form other than diplomatically agreeing to peace?
Yes, it's okay. Just do it in a loving and kind way. Don't do it in any way, shape, or form that would be based on fear or negativity or any kind of force. Just do it in a loving way as a request that this is what you prefer, a statement that this is what you prefer. So simply that.
Okay. And this question is, does the Interstellar Alliance operate similarly to Star Trek in the sense that there are many ET races in cosmopolitan ships exploring the universe?
Well, generally, yes. There are some differences. We're not sure what you mean by cosmopolitan ships. If you mean city ships, yes, that exists. So, yes, there are similarities. There are differences, of course, because while Star Trek overall is representative of your intuitive connection to the existence of the Interstellar Alliance and expressed through your creative art forms, there, of course, are some differences that exist out here from the idea that what you're presenting to yourselves is a science fiction story. So there are many similarities and there are many differences. But overall, there's a lot of similarity.
And this person is asking, how can we overcome the fear of negative alien entities? If we are open to contact, does that also put us at risk of negative encounters?
No. The first thing you have to understand is that the way to get over it is to realize, if you want to, that there are no negative extraterrestrials involved or engaged with your planet at this time. So, those of us that are engaged with your world and the evolution of humanity and what's going on your planet at this time, create a kind of bubble reality that is of a frequency where negative beings simply find that they are unable to perceive what's happening, unable to reach you. So even though there may be stories on your planet that sound very scary and fear-inducing, the literal truth is there are no negative entities engaged with humanity on your planet at this time. Only the stories that you make up because of the fears that come up within you, within humans, because of your exposure to higher frequencies that you simply may not yet be able to tolerate without going into survival panic mode. So it distorts the experiences in a way that creates a lot of scary stories, but the actuality is there are no negative extraterrestrial entities interacting with your planet at this time. So if you're willing to understand that, then you can get over the idea of being afraid that you will attract negative extraterrestrial entities through open contact. It simply will not occur.
Do you believe achieving contact is mainly vibration based? What is the best way to align with that frequency?
Follow the formula. Yes, of course it's vibration based. It's based on several different things, but it's also based not only on your life path, your soul's themes, but yes, physically, it's based on the idea of the upliftment of humanity vibrationally, raising your frequency to be able to meet us halfway, so to speak. So, yes.
And some of us imagine open contact involving a massive number of UFO ships appearing. However, this person had a dream that it will be different, more like floating orbs descending, carrying knowledge that could be understood telepathically while in their presence. Can you give us a hint on how that would be?
We will discuss this in the upcoming Sedona transmissions. Yes, you are right. It will not right away be hundreds and hundreds of ships because, as you say, that would freak many people out. So it will be a slow process, and what you have described to some degree is a part of it. But we will give you more specifics in the upcoming Sedona transmissions.
Are there any grays that are positively assisting us at this time? And also, if it is true that some grays are assisting us, how are they recognizable to us?
All grays are assisting you. There are no negative entities dealing with you at this time in that way.
Well, as your famous quote goes, circumstances does not create the state of being. State of being is what creates circumstances.
Yes.
I believe it to be true, but this makes me wonder how the Greys were able to create their own reality. Since the Greys gave up emotionality, how were they able to create their reality? I wonder how they were able to do this without the state of being component, let alone their technology to tunnel into other realities.
State of being does not necessarily mean primarily that it has to contain the idea of what you recognize as emotion. A hive mind mentality, a hive mind intention, hive mind focus is an extremely magnified state of being. And it is that intention and that focus of the hive mentality that they have created, even in giving up most of their emotionality, that allows them to create the reality that they are experiencing. So emotionality is not necessarily always a primary component as long as the focus and the intention supersedes it.
Speaking of the hive mentality, from a shamanic standpoint, if you were to tune into bees, what are some of the things they could help us understand about the hive mentality?
You have to look at it holistically. Again, though you experience it in linear space-time as I'm connected to this, From the hive mind, it is, I am this. It's more like the idea of looking at yourself as a drop in the ocean. You understand that you can be a drop, but you understand that there really isn't a lot of differentiation between the drop and the rest of the water in the ocean. So it's something that's a more all-encompassing sense, an all-encompassing perspective. It's not that you belong to the hive, it's that you as an individual are the hive, and every individual in it sees themselves as the hive. That's why the focus and the intention and the orchestration and coordination are so automatic, and why they can act so synchronistically together, because each of them sees themselves as the hive. They have an intent, they have a focus that is shared completely by every single individual aspect of the hive, as if each individual is the hive and the only one having the intent and the focus to accomplish something.
That sounds very similar to the idea of when a human being raises their vibration in certain circumstances and actually can experience the sense of being of the collective, of that there's all these people in the collective, all these consciousnesses in the collective, but you can identify individual, you can sense they're all individual, but yet it's all one big collective consciousness experience.
Yes. Again, it is another form of absolute synchronism.
So that state of being where you're part of the collective, that would be, in a sense, very equivalent to the idea of being part of or experiencing the hive mind.
Yes. It's experiencing pure synchronicity. Everything is in lockstep. It is the intentional focus, the orchestration. It brings about the orchestration that creates everything to be exactly where it needs to be, when it needs to be there, in perfect timing. It's another way of doing it. We experience it with emotionality, but the Greys did not. But that wasn't necessary for the intention that they created. They created the reality that they needed to allow them to create the hybridization program that would allow their civilization to continue, and which you can take advantage of to allow your civilization to go in a different path than what the Greys took that destroyed their world. So that's the beneficial side effect of that harmonic, of that orchestration, is that you get to take advantage of what they're doing to preserve their own civilization, their own culture, by creating us hybrids. You get to take advantage of it so that you can decide that you have more options than they themselves saw that they had, that led them down the path of destruction, where they poisoned their version of Earth.
Great. This person is curious about the society on your home planet. What is the average lifespan of the Sasani people? Start with that.
About 300 of your years, as you understand time. But that's an average. There are some that might leave sooner. There are some that are much, much older, depending upon their soul's path and what it is they need to achieve. Again, as reference, my own father, still physically alive after 1,000 years.
And the next question this questioner is asking is, do you mate for life, or do your people explore multiple relationship dynamics in the same way that we do?
We don't explore them in the same way you do. We simply receive whatever is happening as what is supposed to be happening at that moment, since everyone is telepathically bonded and everyone understands the idea of consensus, and that if you are attracted to 1, 2, 3 people in different ways for different purposes, then we let it play out. There are no assumptions, impositions, or expectations on how relationships should be. We simply let the relationships serve the purposes that they come together to serve.
And are there any limitations on how many offspring you create?
Any limitations would simply be a part of the synchronicity as to what agreements have been made in spirit as to what serves the collective best.
And finally, you mentioned that your planet Essassani is in the general area of Orion, but which star does your planet orbit? Have we already identified it? Meaning, can we see it from here?
No, you cannot. We are in a parallel reality. Our reality is invisible to you unless you actually make a vibrational shift into our reality. And what we have said is that our star system is in the direction of the Orion constellation. It's not part of that constellation, but our system is not visible to you. No stars in our reality are visible to you. There might be some stars that we share, in a sense. In other words, we have versions of those stars in our reality that you have in your reality. But the idea is that we are invisible to one another unless we make a shift into the different parallel realities. So we are 500 light years in the direction of the Orion constellation that you're familiar with. But we are not part of the Orion constellation as you would understand it.
And do the Yael have a ship over Los Angeles? And are they connected to Dolphin, Whale, Sirius Energy?
Yes, they are, and yes, they do, and they have ships over many cities.
Okay, and this question is, oh, you want to tell us any more about that?
No, thank you.
Okay. What is the color of hybrid blood and also of Yael blood?
Red. Remember, we are another version of human.
Okay, and is astrology legitimate? Does our birth chart have anything to do with our personalities, temperaments, moods, and what happens to us, etc.?
Again, like anything, these are permission slips that reflect what you chose when you decided to incarnate, what you froze into your pattern that allows you to experience the unfoldment of your life path. So those that are sensitive enough to use that permission slip to read it are simply telling you what the reflection of your birth time astrologically reflects to what you chose prior to incarnation to experience. So it depends on the sensitivity of the reader to read accurately the ideas that are frozen in that matrix that are representative of what you chose to freeze as your life path and can be read by many different people in many different ways with many different permission slips. So again, remember, nothing controls you except that it defines the hallway you chose to walk down, the life path, and the challenges you chose to experience. So sensitive people can read that to an extent, but you still have free will within that in terms of how you might walk down that hallway that you chose with your free will from spirit to walk down in this life. So it's a reflection. It's not a control. It's a defining guideline to the idea of your path in this life as a reflection of it.
Okay, that's very helpful.
Yes.
And how can this person wants to know how they can know if they have hybrid children without you telling them specifically?
Sometimes many people will have dreams of interacting with children that seem a little bit different than human children. So sometimes that's one way you can tell. Now, almost anyone who's interacting with us is in some way, shape, or form part of the hybridization program, whether they actually have genetics in the hybrid children or not. So being a part of the hybridization program doesn't necessarily always mean you actually have hybrid children. But it may be that your energy is being used, your template is being used to help grow the hybrid children, or you're teaching them things about living on Earth that they need to know when they eventually come to live among you on Earth in the years to come. But the idea is that a lot of individuals have hybrid children, or their genetics have been used in the creation of the hybrid children, or their energy patterns have been used in the creation of the hybrid children, like a template in a sense. So it doesn't really matter whether you literally have genetics in the hybrid children. Usually you're still involved if you have found ways to talk to us at all. It's very rare that people who find us and speak with us or ask us a question aren't in some way a part of the hybridization program, whether they have children or not.
And in determining how many children somebody has, are there certain percentages that help identify that idea?
Well, again, in some ways, colloquially, you can consider a hybrid child to be quote unquote your child if they contain at least 15 to 20% of your DNA. And that usually means there's about maybe 15, 17, maybe up to 23 or 25 hybrid children that might have that much of your DNA in them. But DNA is spread among hundreds, if not thousands, of hybrid children. So are they yours if they have even 1% of your DNA? That's up to you to decide. They might have connections with you in other ways for different purposes, depending upon their life path, that would supersede the idea of how much genetics they actually contain anyway. They might be part of your soul family. They might have a life path that needs to connect strongly to you, even if they have very little of your genetics within their makeup. So it just depends on several factors as to how closely bonded you might be with a hybrid child. It's not always about the amount of genetics within them that came from you.
And back in 2020, you mentioned the importance of that election and how the result catapulted us to a more positive timeline. With the upcoming election in the fall of 2024, do you perceive the results affecting open contact? I understand your civilization will not talk about our politics. I just want to clarify if the election will affect how and when we meet our ET family.
All right. Now we are allowed to say this about that. Understand we have for some time been talking about the idea of the splitting realities, the splitting prism. For the sake of simplicity, for now, let us take what many of you might call the Dolores Cannon approach and say that instead of thinking about it as an infinite number of parallel reality Earths, you can, shall we say, render it down to the idea of two. The new Earth, the old Earth, that are splitting apart, going in different directions. And the people that shift with them, then going in those different directions. You could say going in the new direction, shifting to the new Earth, going in the old direction, remaining on the old Earth, so to speak. But it's still a shift. So the idea is, look at what's happening in the splits that you are experiencing now in your politics. Specifically, look at the idea of people saying, this person won, no, this person won. Which is true? Both are true, because they're both reflective of two completely different Earths. That's how you're starting to see the split. Right now, of course, you're sharing a reality. You're creating a reality that seems like a shared reality. And therefore, you can still see each other saying, no, it's this way, no, it's that way. Eventually, you will not see each other. You will not experience each other. But right now, that should be your first clue. The degree to which each side, each group is saying, no, 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 this is the winner. No, 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 this is the winner, should be your first clue that you're actually experiencing the beginnings of the splitting into different realities. So, those that are moving in the direction of what, again, euphemistically we will refer to as the new Earth, will experience one thing. Those that are shifting in the direction of continuing with the old Earth will eventually experience something else, even to the point, eventually, literally, of there being two White Houses in your country, two government bodies in each place on your planet, where one person wins this one and one person wins that one. So you have to start understanding this is different realities that you're actually beginning to experience. Even though it may seem to be very chaotic right now and everyone arguing about what is real, they're both real. but it's just the very beginnings of the splittings into those very different and very real realities that will become farther and farther and farther apart, and the people going in those different directions experiencing very, very different Earths eventually. So, allow yourself to simply stay in the vibration that you prefer, and you will continue to navigate and continue to shift and continue to experience the result of that, one of which will lead to open contact and one of which may not. Now again, anything in between does exist, for there are multiple variations and versions of parallel reality Earths. But again, for simplicity, just to use the extreme examples now to illustrate the point, one will experience the idea of open contact because that means it's about connection and expansion, love, connection, kindness. And the other, based in fear, negativity, will experience something quite different. I'm not going to describe that right now. But they will not experience open contact in the way we've been describing and in the way we will participate in it with you. That is the answer to the question. That is all we are allowed to say. So think about that and understand what you're seeing as the beginnings of that split on your planet.
Okay, and this person is saying, if I have a worry about the coming election and how it's going to turn out, et cetera.
I have said what we need to say about this subject.
Okay.
This is the end of the conversation.
About that.
Because that's the most important thing to leave all of you with, is the understanding of what you're seeing, why you're seeing it, and what's actually happening. You are literally seeing the beginnings of the splitting into different realities where each side really truly sees that their outcome is the real outcome. That's why you're seeing what appears to be a dichotomy. And that is sufficient unto this day.
Okay.
So,
can you tell us a little bit about why there is such a focus on gender identity and transgender going on right now?
because spirit is everything and nothing, and it is a way of illustrating that spirit can be anything. And it is the idea of opening up humanity to the understanding of your true existence as a spirit that contains any variation and every variation beyond even what you're experiencing on your planet. But it's a symbol to stop limiting yourself and defining yourself and boxing yourself in to a very rigid understanding of what it means to be a human. Because what it means to be a human is also what it means to be a spirit that is expansive and inclusive instead of exclusive.
And you've said things in our artistic media are representative of changes in our collective consciousness.
Yes.
There have been a recent reemergence and fascination with dragons, the most recent manifestation being a show called The House of the Dragon. Why is this?
Again, dragons are a symbolic projection of extra-dimensional beings that's connecting you to an ancient source of knowledge and wisdom that you are now reclaiming, regaining. Dragons don't look that way in their own reality as the interdimensional beings that they are, but that's how they are experienced and perceived in your physical linear space-time reality, because they are so powerful, so big. It's the idea of the serpent that contains knowledge, but magnified 1,000 times. It's presenting itself as the collective, as the archetypal representation of the power and access you have to ancient knowledge and ancient wisdom that you can reclaim in your present life. It's the idea that gets you fired up, that allows you to follow your passions and act on them fully, to follow the path of the dragon without fear, to reclaim your true soul's power. That's the symbol that it represents. Remember, it's connected also to your DNA. So it also represents higher connections to energetic forms that in non-physical template level realities have to do with the way DNA is formed in physical reality. And it is the idea of allowing yourself to begin to build a third strand of DNA and open up all the dormant markers within you that you now consider to be junk DNA that you think doesn't do anything. But it does, and it will, as you open up all these markers. The third strand will build within humanity as you evolve. Many people have thought 12 strands will exist, but that is not possible for you physically and remaining as a human. There are beings throughout the galaxy, throughout the universe, that have more strands of DNA than you do. But humanity will evolve a third strand, eventually, as you become the sixth hybrid race. But the idea of connecting to 12 strands is something you connect to energetically in the spirit realm, in the template realm. It doesn't physicalize. That's something that goes beyond the human being. But it is something that you can connect to energetically as a spirit.
Thank you. This question is about Skinwalker Ranch.
Yes.
What is buried inside the mesa on Skinwalker Ranch?
It is an ancient alien craft that crashed on your planet and has been buried over time by erosion and the natural evolution of your planet. They will eventually discover this. Give them a couple of years.
What causes the GPS anomalies and interrupted laser beams during the scientists' experiments?
A combination of the vibrations that are still active within the ship and also the portals that exist in the area that can cause many disruptions in electronic equipment and so on and so forth. They are getting closer to understanding that the portals truly exist there. They are creating demonstrations and evidence of their existence. But sometimes it's a combination of the vibrations that are emanating from the crashed ship itself, because some of the systems in the ship are still very active. They last a long, long time. They never go out. They can last millions and millions of years. So sometimes it's an interference pattern, a combination of what's being emanated from the crashed ship and also the vibrations that are coming from the portals as ships move through them, which can create a cascade effect of different kinds of energies and vibrational frequencies to radiate from the portals as well as various ships move through them. So they'll discover all this. Give them some more time.
What group of aliens is the ship representative of?
We are not allowed to talk about the ancient ones yet.
Okay. And is that why they're having trouble drilling in through the ground there?
Well, yes, they keep running into the debris from the crashed ship that does not allow their devices to drill through them. The substance that the ships are made out of is too hard.
Can you explain briefly the evolution of humanity in a way that a 7-year-old would understand? This person's son has been asking him this question, or her, and I don't know how to explain it because I'm confused myself.
Well, it's sort of like being in school and graduating from one level to another. Going from first grade to second grade to third grade to fourth grade. You learn new things. You grow in your understanding. You learn new lessons. And it gives you more experience and more ability to do more things. So the evolution of humanity is like that. Earth is like a school. And humanity can graduate from one level to another depending upon the kind of experiences that you face as challenges and how you learn to transform them or overcome them. So a school structure is a good analogy for a child to understand. Humanity is evolving by learning more every time they graduate to a new level of class, to a new grade, so to speak. Hopefully that will help you.
Okay, and this question, why has our true history been hidden? This person is referring to the fact that we were created by the Anunnaki. I assume it has to do with politics and power, but I just don't really understand what's going on. Why do we choose to forget or deny where we came from? Why is the ET story so taboo in the mainstream?
All right, well, you're actually asking two different questions. One about the idea of the contemporary modern situation of suppression of information, of whatever information may be known, for the retention of power and so on and so forth. But you're asking, why have you forgotten about the idea of the Anunnaki? Well, there aren't many records left that exist because of disasters on your planet. A lot of civilizations and a lot of records of ancient times have been wiped out by volcanic action, by earthquakes, by meteoric impact. Many civilizations have simply been wiped off the face of the earth in that way, and the records that talked about all these things along with them. So some of the forgetfulness is simply because there's nothing to be found anymore, or some things are very difficult for you to find or take a long time for you to realize and remember in a variety of different ways, because the destruction in the past has been so complete. So because of the natural forgetfulness that goes with the earth cycles, of forgetting who you are so that you can live your life spontaneously and discover who you are again from a new point of view, that natural forgetfulness that goes along with incarnating on the earth plane then also doesn't necessarily give you much ability all the time to remember that these ancient civilizations existed or that these ancient things happened, because there's really not much left of the records of these things. Now, again, some of them exist here and there, and some of them can still be found. But a lot of what you're remembering is coming through the idea of new souls bringing the information with them when they incarnate on your planet, and intuitively simply knowing that these things happen, and the intuition leading them to where sometimes they can find some of the ancient records that do still survive. Plus the idea of out-of-body travel and a tapping into the Akashic records, which contains all the information, because again, no information is really lost. It's all woven into the structure and the fabric of space-time and existence itself, and can always be tapped into, and sometimes the information you have is being retrieved that way. But physically speaking, there isn't a lot of information that survives when something like a meteor slams into your planet and destroys a culture. So it's all of that.
Okay, thank you. Can you share with us a little bit about the moon and its relationship to Earth and any entities that inhabit it?
The moon is a natural body that was split off from the Earth due to an actual impact in the early solar system of another body that struck the Earth, and material broke off and became the moon. So it's a natural body in that sense. However, the natural body has been engineered by extraterrestrials in a variety of ways, placed into its present orbit, and there are many extraterrestrial bases that exist on the moon, if that's what you're referring to as inhabitants. There are no natural inhabitants in that sense on the moon. But there are many ET bases and underground bases that are inhabited by extraterrestrials who come and go for a variety of reasons. So, the idea is that energetically in its orbit, the moon balances the Earth in a variety of ways, represents certain vibrational frequencies and energies that have to do with feminine energy and the balancing of feminine energy. Some time ago, we talked about the idea that the Earth would capture an asteroid and it would be somewhat representative of the male energy, and that you would have two moons. Well, if you actually look it up, you will realize that that has actually now happened. There is an asteroid that is in orbit around the Earth, in a sense, as a second very small moon. And that represents the idea now of coming into the balance between masculine and feminine energy, of getting into the idea of the balance of your emotionality and your logic systems. So, look it up, you will see that there is already a second moon around the Earth in the form of a small asteroid.
Okay. And can you please provide insider ways that we can have better discernment? This person is saying, I often find myself contemplating if the messages are coming from my higher self or the ego. Sometimes it's very obvious, but other times I feel like I'm doing the right thing, but in hindsight, it turned out to be a negative belief.
All right, but you can learn from that. Again, the idea is your willingness to learn from recognizing that you may have gone in a direction you didn't prefer is what allows you to gain more ability to recognize the difference between that energy and the one you do prefer. Following the formula helps because acting on your passion raises your frequency and makes you a more sensitive antenna, a more sensitive receiver to higher frequency energy, so that when you get used to perceiving those energies, you can more easily tell the difference between energies that are you and energies that are not. But the willingness to learn from whatever path you went down that wasn't what you prefer is also what will increase your ability to tell the difference between that energy and the energy of the path you do prefer. So if your willingness is there to learn from that, to recognize the difference, you'll get better at it. Stop worrying about it, and you will become more sensitive to what the difference in those things are. The more you worry about it, the less sensitive you will be, because you're increasing the idea of the negative path, of the negative energy, and becoming more sensitive to that. So, but only in the sense that you keep doing that. So you have to not worry about it, just stay in a positive state, which is one of the steps in the formula, and learn a lesson from it, and you'll be able to eventually tell the difference. Don't worry about it. Lighten up on yourself. Don't take it so seriously.
And this question is about the formula. This person wants to know if someone hasn't been following the formula for a while or has gotten themselves into misalignment, is the formula able to guide them out of that and get them back on the right track, so to speak? Or is there something else they need to do in that situation before the formula can work properly?
Well, they have to be willing to allow themselves to use the formula as fully as they possibly can. The formula is self-expanding, self-guiding, self-correcting. So the idea is all they have to do is go back to understanding as precisely as possible, as clearly as possible, what each step of the formula actually means, so they can know that they are doing it as fully as possible, as purely as possible, as clearly as possible. And then, yes, it will guide you back through synchronicity, because that's part of the effects of the formula, is that synchronicity becomes the guiding, organizing principle. So yes, the short answer is yes, it's self-correcting and self-guiding when you understand what each component actually means and use it precisely.
Okay, thank you. And we just have a few moments left. Is there anything else you would like to share about the topic tonight and other information?
Again, the concept of the Interstellar Alliance Volunteer Corps has a lot to do with stretching humanity, stretching your assumptions, getting you out of your routines, giving you an opportunity to explore whether you might actually be overlooking something that could really be one of your passions. It just gives you an opportunity to extend beyond your normal routine. Just take a moment and consider it. Explore it. You may find that you will actually enjoy it far more than you think. If you're already doing a lot of volunteer work, then fine. But it's up to you to determine what else you might be able to do. And please do remember, it's a whole package. So working on yourself, that's wonderful. using your energy to send out vibrations of love and kindness and peace, absolutely fine, beautiful. But the actions you take in addition to all that also are part of the whole package. You cannot leave anything out if you're going to function as a holistic being. So do it all. You can do it all. And therefore, you will go together and go forward as a whole. Take advantage of your connection to the whole so that it can serve all of the parts that you are. Our unconditional love to you all. And now, allow yourselves in a relaxed state to move forward for the remainder of the transmission.